Imagine if every single dollar you earned had a highly specific job to do before it even hit your bank account. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to break down the exact financial method used by thousands of debt-free Americans, and yep, even billionaires like Warren Buffett, to stop wondering where their money went. We are talking all about mastering zero-based budgeting. Where did my money go? It's a question we've literally all asked ourselves, right? Usually while staring at our bank app in a state of mild panic. Look, if you're tired of overdrafts, guilt-ridden spending sprees, and constantly wondering where your hard-earned paycheck just vanished to, you are absolutely in the right place. This explainer is going to show you exactly how to take complete control of your finances. And honestly, the best part? You can set this whole system up in under 30 minutes. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. Number 1, why budgets fail. 2, the zero-based solution. 3, the 4-step setup. 4, mistakes to avoid. And finally, a 90-day action plan. Let's jump right into section 1, why most budgets fail. Okay, so if you've struggled with managing your money in the past, take a deep breath because it's probably not your fault. Actually, scratch that. It's almost definitely the system's fault. Most people fail because they fall into one of two major extremes. On the one hand, you have the leftover method. This is where you spend first, live your life, and just kind of hope to save whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month. Spoiler alert on that one, there was almost never anything left over. Then, on the flip side, we have the strict method. This is when you create a budget so incredibly restrictive that it becomes physically and emotionally impossible to maintain, which usually leads to just throwing your hands up and quitting after like 2 weeks. Neither of these approaches actually work in the real world. Moving on to section 2, the zero-based solution. Zero-based budgeting is a real game changer because it completely flips those two failed methods on their head. It's a method where your income minus your expenses equals exactly zero. What that means is every single dollar is assigned a specific job before the month even starts. Whether it's paying for your bills, funding your savings, or acting as your weekend fun money, literally nothing is left floating around without a clear purpose. Now, I want to be super clear about this point. Hitting exactly zero does not mean you spend everything. Hitting zero does not mean your bank account is empty at the end of the month. It simply means that absolutely nothing is left unaccounted for. You are firmly in the driver's seat, directing the traffic of every single penny. Let's put this into perspective. Say you're bringing in $4,000 a month. You simply slice that money up into distinct categories. A slice for bills, a slice for groceries, savings, investments, and yes, even fun money. You just keep assigning those slices until all $4,000 have a specific job to do. I just love this concept. Give every dollar an employment contract. Because when money has a job, it doesn't mysteriously disappear on you. You're managing your money with bold intention instead of miserable restriction. You're no longer wondering where your cash went because you explicitly told it where to go before the month even ticked off. All right, section 3, the 4-step setup. Let's get into the practical side of things. These are the 4 core steps to establishing your very own zero-based budget. We're going to go from calculating your exact income to actively adjusting your spending habits on the fly. It's simple, it's logical, and it's incredibly effective. Let's break them down. Step 1 is calculating your income. Always start with your after-tax take-home pay. That is your true starting point, so write that number right at the top. Now, if you're a freelancer, an hourly worker, or your income just fluctuates from month to month, you need to protect yourself. Use your lowest earning month as a conservative baseline. If you end up making more than that, hey, that's great. You can assign that extra money later. But this strategy keeps you safe. For step 2, you need to list absolutely every expense you have by breaking them down into 4 specific categories. Start with your fixed expenses, things like rent and car payments. Then add in your variable expenses, like groceries and gas. Third, list your goals, paying off debt or building that emergency fund. And finally, you've got those tricky, irregular expenses. So if you have an annual subscription or a yearly car maintenance bill, divide that number by 12 so you're consistently budgeting for it every single month. Literally, no more yearly surprise bills blowing up your budget. Step 3 is the math phase. This is where you subtract your listed expenses from your income, tweaking your categories until you hit exactly zero. If you do the math and you have $200 left over, you don't just leave it sitting there, you give it a job. Put it toward debt or boost your savings. On the other hand, if you're over budget, meaning you're in the negative, look at cutting back on wants first, like eating out or some of those subscriptions, until everything balances out to zero. And finally, step 4, track and adjust. Look, a budget is completely useless if you don't track it. You need to check your spending weekly, not at the end of the month when the damage is already done. And here's the real secret weapon. If you overspend in one area, say you bought way too many groceries, just do a budget transfer. Move funds from your entertainment category to cover it. The whole goal here is awareness and flexibility, keeping everything perfectly balanced without feeling restricted. Now, to pull this off, you absolutely do not need to spend money to manage your money. Just pick one of these incredibly effective free tools. There's the Every Dollar app, which is specifically built from the ground up for this zero-based method. There are also countless free Google Sheets templates floating around online. Or, you can just use classic pen and paper. That's actually surprisingly effective because the physical act of writing builds deep mental habits. Ultimately, just pick the one you'll actually use consistently. Which brings us to Section 4, Mistakes to Avoid. Before you run off to start tracking your dollars, let's proactively knock out the 4 biggest traps that cause people to quit. Number 1, forgetting those irregular annual expenses we just talked about. Number 2, making your budget way too strict. If you don't include a fun money category, you are going to rebel against your own rules and quit for sure. Number 3, only checking your budget at the end of the month when it's way too late to fix anything. Seriously, check it weekly. And number 4, giving up entirely after one bad month. Remember, every new month is a fresh start, and your budget's going to get better every single month you stick with it. Finally, Section 5, the 90-day action plan. Now that you know the method and the pitfalls, here is your exact timeline to implement the whole shebang. Day 1, calculate your income, list out your expenses, and assign every dollar a job to hit 0. Day 2, set up your chosen free tool. Day 7 is when you do your very first check-in. Try anchoring this to a pleasant habit, like, having your Sunday morning coffee. Make it something you actually look forward to. If you keep up this weekly routine, by day 90, you're going to experience a completely different, massively empowered financial life. Remember, zero-based budgeting is all about intention rather than restriction. When you actively tell your money where to go, you take back your power. So I want to leave you with this final thought. What is the very first stream or goal you would fund if you finally knew exactly where all your money was going? Drop a comment below with your answer, start giving your dollars a job, and I'll catch you in our next explainer.